Hello my loves, I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you for supporting my channel. We're talking about the multidimensional healing approach to narcissistic abuse, understanding it on all levels, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally and psychically, right? How to break free very, very fast, or as fast as your body can, right? And go on and create your true life. Now, narcissists distract you from your soul purpose and true authentic life, right? You would be probably not that surprised given what I'm sharing here, but most of them, they were really trying to distract my work all the time, right? When a strong light worker comes on the planet, the demons get a memo. And they were destructive, like not just playing with me, like trying to literally destroy me, literally. But let's talk about the flying monkey. So you guys probably know what that is. They're people that the narcissist recruits to kind of do their dirty work. They work through people, right? The hardest thing about the devil is that it comes in disguise. Yeah? It doesn't show its face. It comes in disguise as something else. That's why it's so confusing. And the web of infrastructure a lot of these people have is mind-blowing, right? Especially if they're more powerful in their profession and that kind of stuff. They can be spiritual teachers. They can in those, they're not actually spiritual teachers, not for the good, but like they can be in corporations. They can be well looked upon by their community. They really care about their reputation, so they know who to target. They know who their victim is, and it's going to be very difficult because, like, I know in my family I've already been heavily gaslit, right? So I don't realise I've been abused. I won't call it abuse until I get to like about 30 years old, right? And part of what woke me up to that was a therapist I saw for my anxiety and panic attacks told me not to talk to my father. She said she didn't want to work with me if I was going to stay in contact with my father. And I still wasn't willing to give that up at that stage. And then 10 months later, I'm trying to build my dreams and do things, and I'm suffering from terrible anxiety and, again, PTSD and stuff, not understanding it. And I see another guy, and he says the same thing. And I've only given him a tiny piece of information about my life. I hadn't told him about my childhood. I hadn't said much at all. But they knew straight away. And so he said to me, look, Ellie, I will work with you, but absolutely on no circumstances. I don't care if you tell what you have to say. I mean, my dad really manipulated me to always be chasing him. So it wasn't so much that it was that difficult in the end. But like, you know, they knew. He was like, the conditions is that you will not come here and meet with me if you talk to your dad, right? My dad was looked upon as, I mean, it's even hard for my throat chakra to say this now, because for years I would never say a word. And there's no doubt I'd have been viciously attacked by anyone that knows him. And his story is that I'm crazy or something. You know what I mean? Because he's someone that people loved and a lot of people knew, right? And know. He does the same to all of his children, but I was the key one because I was the closest one to him. I was the easiest one to manipulate because I was the biggest empath. Some of his, you know, his destruction is obvious in what all of his children. He's had multiple I don't want to get into too many details, but he's been through quite a few marriages, a lot of children. You get the gist. Never fathered any of them, but his story is that's something he's proud of. You know, not that he really parented any of them. And I'm not going to go into those details. So let's talk about it, because a lot of people have the question of, are the flying monkeys the enablers and allies of the narcissist, or narcissists? And the answer is no. Like, there was a guy I was working with out here, and like one of our close friends, she was a spiritualist. She was a Reiki master, like I am, right? But she thought she was really connected to him. She would call him like, oh, he's like my brother. But it was a strange thing because they never actually had a personal conversation, you know, but she was under the illusion and she thought he was this great thing. As it happened, this guy who manipulated me was a narcissist. He didn't pay me a penny and took advantage of the situation like they all do for my work. What was I going to say on that? Oh yeah, it turned out like he used to be a part of a cult, you know, like he used to run a cult, a religious cult. And they know how to set up frameworks and infrastructure, and even spiritual people, they know how to recruit. And the spiritual people get very defensive. Anyone, what you'll find is the people they recruit, the allies, the enablers and the flying monkeys, often think they're the victim, or they get very protective of them. So this girl I knew, like, she was very protective of him, which was quite strange, but I was under the illusion too at the time. You know, so they know what emotions to create in you. They know what to project in you. And I was very protective of him until I realized he was ripping me apart, and saw his ex-girlfriend and saw what had happened to her, involved in, like we've talked about on this channel, he was pushing her into all sorts of sexual acts with other people and making her think that that was her preference, and she was just constantly cat and mouse. Do you know what I mean? The things, right? And when I woke up to it, it took me 3 months, and I didn't know that much about narcissism yet. You know, it's quite amazing, this infrastructure. He'd got a ton of recruits. So they're not all narcissists. But you've got to bear in mind, depending on how powerful the demon is, right, they're master manipulators. They know what they're doing. It's a strategy. Everything they do is a strategy, an intentional strategy. So no, there is a designed infrastructure. So not every flying monkey. You'll find, like, often, even with a narcissist having an affair, the wife will be an enabler. Like, she knows what's going on. And so she's part of the problem. Any single person that either by act or omission did not take care of you, defend you, protect you, is still someone that I don't believe should be in your life. Because for whatever the reason is, and they're not all narcissists, but yeah, they do also cling together. They do hang together. They do try and out-narc each other as well sometimes, you know, like, because they'll trick each other. They're playing games with the whole world, right? Even with each other sometimes, because it's fun for them. Their mentality and agendas are strange. But no, not every flying monkey, enabler or ally is a narcissist, but the chances are they're under the hypnosis. So I'm saying, like, a spiritual friend of mine, she was so under that hypnosis. There was no point in me saying what he was. I mean, you could see his ex was destroyed, but of course she was young and crazy, right? And you know, if I was going to say what was really going on, I was being driven crazy. That was the house I was in where his friend came to try and psychically attack me. I've made a video on that. But it's such a web. It's such a web. So no, they purposely create an infrastructure. Often it could even be, and you'll see that if you've learned about it, in their own families. Their families enable the whole thing. But they don't seem to understand how serious it is, and they're under the spell. They know that that person is like bleeding people dry and leaving a ton of disaster and wreckage around them. So they're not all narcissists, but they're under a high level. You can actually, you know what this does show is the strength of the psychic attack and how strong it is. And because it's not all their manipulation in words and deeds, it's the psychic trance they put people under. So the spiritual friend I had, her whole thing was like, what a sweet guy this was. She used to call him like her brother, but it was a strange thing because I lived with him for 3 months and they never talked like that. You know what I mean? Never close, but she felt very close. He knew what emotions to cultivate, and she was very protective of him. She was always like, I don't want anyone taking advantage of him. This man was an extremely wealthy man, knew how to literally create a cult, and was basically abusing certain types of women constantly. Like multiple women, always on dates, never told anyone. He went to a therapist, but only for attention. I said to him, do you tell him about all these women that you sleep with constantly, like, and play against each other? He said, oh no, I don't mention that. They've got no commitment to personal development, no commitment to growth and love. They just like the attention. And therapy is a great place for attention for a narc that wants to look like they're doing something good. Yeah, but you know, the first point of growth, the first point of any growth, personal development, therapy, whatever we want to call it, is the truth. If you can't face the truth, you've got no chance of wanting to grow. And a narcissist will never face the truth. They will blame shift, project, lie, and create infrastructures. They're extremely good. Like, if you think about people in history, like even Hitler, I don't know what I can say on the channel, but like, if you think about it, he was one man. But what was scary about it was the amount of people he managed to recruit to become dark. This consciousness is trying to turn you. How do you think something like the Holocaust happens? You've got one strong demon who's then influencing, right, allowing that consciousness to control and recruit the flying monkeys, the enablers and the assistants. But in a lot of these marriages, if they've gone on for a long time, the wife is just as twisted. They're all twisted. They're all part of the problem, and generally cut them all out of your life. Like I say, we're not looking to be a phoenix from the ashes with the fire. We're not looking to become dark either, but we're looking to be the fire in the world. Fire of love, fire of joy, fire of goodness, fire of purity, right? But burn down anything else, right? Now, they're just not for you. And if they do have some kind of revolution, that's not your business right now. You're here to create your own world, a world that works beautifully with you, around you, collaborates with you from your heart, from love, where you can be safe to love fiercely and love fully, live fully and build your best life. And I know it's possible for us, you see. We've just been under this hypnosis and lie. So those infrastructures, They're nothing to do with you anymore once you break free, right? And that's a process, that's a journey, but it doesn't have to be long. All this stuff out there about how long it is and you have to live with them and blah. No, you don't at all. No, you don't at all, actually. Look how many of us are here, right? And I've only been doing this 3 weeks. There's so many of us who want beautiful connected relationships. And the biggest lie you've got from too much therapy sometimes is that you're so damaged that you don't know how to love, which is the most innate thing for you. You know how to love and give and be wonderful. You just haven't been allowed to be yourself, which is loving. And it hasn't been safe. That's the core issue here. That's it. And then break all the psychic attacks and stuff, you're not ever so damaged, because it's impossible for a human being, right, not to naturally want to love with an animal, with a baby, with, I don't know, something that gives you joy. It's impossible for you to sustain it. It's your nature, right? So yeah, there's a lot of damage done, which is why I'm so fierce about clearing it, yeah? But actually, our power is stronger. The light is stronger. And the flying monkeys and enablers and assistants, I mean, they're too under the haze. They're so unconscious. They're so toxic, right? Just let them have their own awakening too. Get them out of your life. They're weak people. Oh, look. I said I'd put my dogs on. I've got one here. The other one's in his bed. They're just weak people who are not actually as enlightened as they think, no matter how spiritual they are. And it's not their fault. I'm a psychic. I couldn't connect to these people. So I was using logic, and I was easy to brainwash, because when I've got my intuition on point with a normal person, I can feel. But with a narcissist, I couldn't connect. So therefore I was relying on other things. And, you know, I was dealing with some very strong demons. But like, yeah, they don't know. They're just under the same hypnosis that you are. So it's not their fault. We've all been there. I've been there over and over again. And I'm really intuitive. I'm really spiritual. You can tell I'm intelligent. You know what I mean? I was duped most of my life. So the flying monkeys and the neighbours are just under the psychic spell and heavily manipulated. But again, your job isn't to wake them up. It's to wake yourself up and go on and live your best life. The more light on the planet, the easier it is for people to calibrate up, live authentically, live from their hearts, and join us. That's it. That's all we do, right? We just shine. But we let go of all these ties, because at the moment we're still playing in the dark side if we're fueling that life force, you see, on the planet. So we just attach, right? By claiming our sovereignty, claiming our own energy, be self-sourcing, self-partnering, and self-focused in a positive way, right? So that we can love. The thing we want to do most is give and contribute and love. That's the crazy thing, right? So self-focused, your nature it's nothing joyful about being really selfish. Only narcissists get off on that because it's power and control to them. But for us, giving is wonderful, like contributing, doing something nice. But this is what we're born to do. Contribute to the planet in a beautiful, creative way that evolves the human race. So giving is one of our pleasures. And they make you so scared and defensive. We don't need that. That's not what it's about. So once we heal, you're free to give. Look at how much I can give here freely, abundantly, overflowingly. It fuels me. There's no ick on it. I don't need anything. You know what I mean? It's just beautiful to do, to share. That's our nature. It's our nature to be joyful. It's our nature to be loving. So that's your nature. Anything in the way of that, it's just a bit of adjustment we've got to heal, right? But your nature, you know this stuff. Giving to people in beautiful ways, saying beautiful things, look how many of you have appreciated me. It's your nature. No one can take it from you. You just forgot that is who you are because you haven't been allowed to be it. It's the most natural thing we do. So the enablers, the assistants, the recruits, the flying monkeys can fly the fuck off. The F off. They can F off, fly off. Fly away, be gone, no matter how spiritual they are, no matter what religion they are, no matter what they're saying to you, that they're not living by, because they're not in the truth, right? And they have been under a high level of psychic attack. It's not necessarily their fault. It wasn't our fault either, right? But again, your job is just to see it for what it is and understand that they're not there yet, yeah? But you are. So, okay, guys, lots of love. I'll speak to you soon.